Today I'm here with my friend Eli, and we're going to be discussing religion in general and Eli's religious upbringing. So from the top, what do you identify as, and what did your parents raise you as, I guess?
So I identify as Catholic, but not like the hardcore Catholic.
Okay.
My parents are, though.
Okay.
So I was baptized when I was really little as a Catholic, and that's where I got my name, actually, Elizabeth. And then my sister was also baptized when she was like little. Like this was like when we were like 1 or 2.
Okay. So Elizabeth is, I'm pretty in the dark. I'm not really practicing anything. I'm pretty just non-religious. So is Elizabeth like a common Catholic name?
Yeah.
Is it a biblical name?
Yeah, no, there are figures in the Bible that are named, who are named Elizabeth. And my sister's full name is actually Amelia.
Okay.
Like spelled Emily, but it's the ending is IA. So yeah. So yeah, we were baptized when we were really little, and I grew up going to mass like every Sunday. And then, you know, Easter, Christmas, those were all really big for us. And then my parents were also very active in the church, meaning like my mom played the piano as her career, and because of her talent, she also volunteered at church.
She'd play regularly at the church.
You know, playing during mass and stuff.
Okay, super cool.
And then my dad, so they were also they were both Catholic growing up. So then she did that, and she was also used to going to mass and stuff like when she was growing up. And then my dad actually was kind of more involved in a way because he was an altar server. Are you familiar with what that is?
I'm not.
So an altar server is basically usually like kids or teens, I guess, and you get trained and they help out during the mass at the altar. So they help out the priest with the celebration. And they're kind of like assistants in a way, but you have to get like special training for it and stuff. So my dad did that growing up. Okay. So yeah, like they were all very involved themselves, and then even after getting married and having us, they continue to be involved in the church. Right. So I feel like, I have a lot of memories. Just like going to church and...
Fond memories or not so fond memories or in the middle or...
I think they were like pretty positive, at least for me.
Right.
But as I grew up, I think it became a little bit more different because I started talking to my sister about how she feels, because she has a very different opinion than me. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so if you put it that way, you said you're not really the hardcore Catholic, but your parents are a bit more hardcore. What, are they disappointed about that or?
About that, maybe a little bit. Like my dad is very chill about it, I feel like, but my mom is pretty, like she won't scold me for it, but she'll sometimes like express her disappointment. Like right now, right? Like I'm living by myself. Like I'm off by myself now. I don't live with my parents anymore. And she like encourages me to go to church. Yeah. And she's like, hey, like, you know, remember what we used to do when we were young, like, or when you were young, like, you know, going to church is always a good thing. And you have one close to you. Like, just go.
So is she specific? Does she want you to go to a Korean church?
No.
Okay. Oh,
just any Catholic church.
Interesting. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Huh. So okay, I mean, that being said, what would you say, what made you change your mind, or what made you kind of diverge a little bit from Catholicism?
I think a lot of root, like, beliefs in Catholicism come from the Bible, obviously.
Right.
The Bible, however, was written many years ago.
Right.
And as much as I hate to say this, like, no one from that time period is alive now, right? So how can we... I believe there's a God. Right. But I think that's different than believing that the Bible, everything written in the Bible is true and happened. Like, I want to believe it. Right. Because I feel like a part of me is also like, oh, if I, like, you know, completely just throw out the Bible and stop believing in it, then I wasted. I think a part of me is kind of like, what did I believe in then my entire life? Because the root of like Catholicism, like I said, is from the Bible. And we have readings every Mass from the Bible, and everything is from the Bible. So I feel like if I don't believe in that, or I stop believing in that, I'm kind of like left here like, oh, what the hell? Like, did I just do with 23 years of my life?
Gotcha.
Because, like I said, I think God is real, but I don't think it needs to be that complicated. And like, you know, when you speak or like listen to interviews from people who are very hardcore Catholics with like very solid conservative political views, a lot of their argument comes from the Bible. And they say like, hey, well, in the Bible they said this is wrong.
Right.
But they also, I feel like, don't realize that it was written, one, mostly by men. Actually, all by men. And it was also written many years ago, and no one's alive.
Right.
From that time period.
Yeah, and then, I mean, what I would say is, on top of that, I mean, separation of church and the state.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the core principle of America, you know? I guess the interesting, what makes America America is we're not all Catholics. There's no law, you must be a Catholic, you must have, there's plenty of Catholics, there's plenty of Christians, we have Jews, we have people who subscribe to Islam, other religions, Buddhism, et cetera, and I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
That's the way it ought to be, you know? People should feel comfortable practicing what they want to practice. But I guess that's the America we live in, where I suppose Christianity still is the predominant.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Christianity and Catholicism aren't identical, but I mean, that's not really gonna change anytime soon, unless like there's a huge shift in emigration and immigration. And I guess there's pros and cons to it, you know, like, because I mean, I think, like I said, I don't practice any religion specifically, but I mean, I try to study them and familiarize myself with, Islamic values, Buddhist values, Hindu values, Christian values, and I think there's plenty of good Christian values. I think most people would agree with that. I mean, like the Ten Commandments, like I don't know, like.
That's why I still am. I identify as Catholic, right?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely. My philosophy personally is that every religion has its pros and cons, and that's just kind of the way it is. I guess some religions have more pros, some religions have more cons, but I think you can't paint with too broad a brush. That's personally how I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that your parents didn't like disown you or anything, because I feel like you hear of, I guess, super traditional parents being like that. But ultimately, I think what's most important, and of course now I'm kind of talking like in general advice, is people ought to think for themselves, you know? They ought to utilize the brain that God gave us.
Yes.
You know, and my relationship with religion is, yes, in religion there's teachings, there's guiding principles, but you also have your own two eyes, your own brain, and people, places, things, and you're navigating through your life. And you know, like, it's nice to have God and principles there who, like, with every step of the way, but simultaneously you're learning and experiencing, and maybe along the way you realize, maybe Christianity isn't for me, or I subscribe to a different belief, etc. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I guess I was a Christian like way back in the day, like when I was young, and I mean, I would go to Sunday school, church regularly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that was like long ago, like maybe a decade and a half ago. And I guess my family, they say they're Protestant, but I don't.
Like still?
Yeah.
Oh.
For me, it's hard to say that because like I don't engage in religious activities regularly.
Right.
I don't go to church regularly. I don't pray regularly. I mean, I do my best to be like a good Samaritan. I don't know if that's a religious thing, but I mean, what's your opinion? Like, when you diverge, did you see it more as you thinking for yourself, or?
So that's exactly what my sister and I've talked about regarding this, because her argument is that, and I kind of believe in it, like, if you have a child, right, like, we were both baptized at a point in our lives when we didn't have any other
You have no choice.
Like,
You're an
we
infant.
had no other choice. And, like, like, a part of me is, like, very glad that my family and my parents raised me that way.
Right.
But also, I wonder, like, I think a part of me wants my children in the future to be able to kind of explore and research on their own what they want to believe in.
Right.
And maybe, you know, they don't want to believe in a religion, which is completely fine.
Yeah.
But I think also another part of me will be kind of sad if
Right.
if they, let's say, disapprove Catholicism and because like I said before, like I disapprove in a part of it, right? Like the hardcore stuff I don't like. But if they were just like they were against like everything, maybe I'd be like a little bit sad.
Yeah.
But I'd still let them make their own choice.
Right.
And I think a big thing with Catholic people, right, is, and I think it's more because you kind of mentioned like Christianity and Catholicism are the same. So I don't know if you knew that, but Catholicism is a branch of Christianity.
Yeah, wait, oh yeah, I said they're not the same.
Oh, they're not the
Sorry,
same.
I know that. I'm not that
So
ignorant.
if Christianity is like the big umbrella,
Yeah.
Catholicism is like a little branch of it, right?
Okay.
And I actually...
Sorry, I didn't. I know they're
that
not.
was my bad, that was
My bad.
my friend, she's a very like... She's a very active Christian, right? Like, and I love her. But I remember one time she said something that really shocked me that I had never heard of in my time as a Catholic.
Okay.
She said, if you are not Christian and you don't believe in God, you automatically go to hell. And like I'd never thought about that concept because I had plenty of friends growing up who weren't Catholic or Christian, and I never thought about, like, I'm never, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just going to hell.
Right.
Like, even if they're Buddhist, right, and believe in another religion, like, I don't think about that. So she said that, and I was like, are you sure? Are you sure that's, like, true? Like, is that really what you think? And she said, yeah, like, what do you mean? So to her, it was weird hearing that I'd never heard about it.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
It was
like,
very odd.
It shows how you can have so much in common and you can, like, think you know someone, but then I guess when you get to a niche talking point or idea, you realize, oh, we're so different. Like we completely disagree on this. No, I see what you're saying.
So going back to the whole like question about, I think a lot of parents or just like people in general have concerns.
Right.
And they want their child to be raised how they were raised because they're scared in the afterlife they can't be with their child.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And their
I haven't
child
really
is,
thought
like,
about
doomed. Yeah.
I see.
So that's a big point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And see, this is where I get conflicted because I don't know what to feed into because not everyone has children, but I guess this is something I think about. One day, if or when I have a child, that's a whole lot of responsibility. In some ways, it feels a bit unfair forcing ideologies on my child because it's like, dang, they never had a choice. Like, they're an infant. They are literally so impressionable, and you have so much power over them. But simultaneously, that it's also like, you need to instill some values in them.
Right.
You need to prepare them for the world.
Right.
So that being said, I mean, maybe it sounds naive, idealistic, but wouldn't it be fantastic if all parents could teach their children, hey, be honest.
Right.
Don't steal. Do not be violent. Be kind.
Yes.
All these things.
I think Catholicism should be that simple. Because it is the basis of what we teach.
I think all religion should be that simple.
Yes, it is very simple. Like, if I had to summarize Catholicism in one word, it's like love. So being kind to others, and like, just it's very simple. Like, all these things do not need to be involved. And a funny thing, just to tie into the whole thing, my sister has said to me that, because she's a little bit more
anti? Yeah, anti, okay.
She said that if our parents, if mom and dad hadn't like really enforced that on us, and like really was like every week, like go to church, whatever, I feel, and they gave me more freedom to kind of explore on my own when I was a child, I feel like I would have like
liked it more.
Yeah, and I would have picked Catholicism, but I think it's because it was so enforced upon me that I hate it so much. I think that was an interesting point that she made.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a huge phenomenon with children.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like maybe you do piano. Maybe you enjoy piano and you get good at it. But then all of a sudden mom and dad are like, piano, you must do piano.
Right.
Like 20 hours a week, yada, yada, yada. And then it's like, oh, I actually hate piano now.
Right.
So it's like, when you have that force and there's no choice anymore, you start to have resentment for something that maybe you would have liked had you had more autonomy.
Yep, so that's exactly how my sister feels, and sometimes I do feel like that too. But I think the pros of being Catholic, right, and someone like me, like I don't consider myself like a hardcore.
Right.
I don't go to church every Sunday. Like I go when I have time. But I also have to say, like every time I do have time and go to church, I have never come out of a mass like feeling like crap. Like,
That's
always
super
come out,
interesting, yeah.
and it's like very, almost like refreshing.
I agree with you there.
And there were times where I would come out of mass, and I'd just sit there and cry in the car.
Wow.
Because I'm so like grateful that I was raised like this.
That's really cool.
I have like a support system, and I know like God is always there for me. So like a part of me I think is very grateful. But
That's
also,
good. That's
yeah,
good.
but also there's that part of me that I'm like, I think the Bible is stupid. You know? So it's
Maybe
very half and half.
Maybe obsolete is the better word.
Yeah.
Maybe like aspects of the Bible are obsolete.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not practicing any religion really, but sometimes I do catch myself listening in on a prayer or witnessing something religious unfold, and it makes me feel good, or like
Yeah.
I feel a sense of belonging. I mean, it's nice when religions like welcome those who don't necessarily subscribe perfectly to all their beliefs and notions, but yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that.
I actually had a friend that was trying to become Catholic, and he was saying, like, he really wanted this, right?
Yeah.
Like, he really wanted to like be baptized and brought into the church, like all of that. And a struggle that he verbalized to me was that Catholic, not Christians, right? Catholic churches, it's very hard for a newcomer who's wanting to join to like even like figure out what the hell is going on. And like it's very not newcomer friendly.
I see.
And I kind of agree, because have you been to a Catholic service?
I have not. Not that I know of. Maybe I have without knowing it, but
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very rigid. Like the stuff you say, and you need to know when to say it and what to say. It's very like, yeah, like you have to kind of know.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with him. Like it's not very friendly.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, like maybe it's really tight knit and it's kind of like in crowd, out crowd. Yeah. You got to know the customs, the way the gears turn, etc. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's another downside, but yeah.
Yeah, so sweet. I guess in closing, like, do you have any how do you think people ought to live their life, whether they're Catholic,
I think
Christian?
everyone should have a choice, like I said. But I don't think, like, I wish people kind of viewed religion, right, any religion, as kind of, because I like to see it as something I can lean on, right? Someone, like, I can always lean on and know that he's listening, right? But it should also be someone you could go to for things, like, you know, like things that you never want or you don't feel the need to talk to an actual human being about, like just your like really deep inner thoughts that you like want to verbalize, but you don't necessarily want to verbalize this to another person.
Human, yeah.
Like I think it's a good way to kind of know that you're like loved by somebody.
Yeah.
But so like I don't want to like go too deep, but
No, that's.
I think that should be the basis of every religion, right? Like, it shouldn't be, I feel like all the little things, the political things and all that stuff that come out of any religion is just, like, not necessary.
Solid.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.